All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Stormwater Board meeting for December 9th, 2025. If you please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Wendy, would you please lead us in a call to order, or a roll call, excuse me.
Robert Grosek.
Here.
Benji Kinchelow.
Here.
Ryan Lisek.
Yes, here. In review of the minutes from October 14th, over close to 2 months ago, any questions or points of deliberation for the minutes as they sit right now? If none, can I receive a motion to approve the minutes from October 14th?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from October 14th meeting.
And I second that motion.
Okay.
Robert Grosek.
Yes.
Benji Kinchelow.
Yes.
Ryan Lisek.
Yes. In review of claims fund number 650 for the amount of $39,663.46, were there any questions or points of contention to review? And if not, can I receive a motion to approve the fund number 650?
I'll make a motion to approve fund number 650 in the amount of $39,663.46.
I'll second that motion.
Robert Grosek.
Yes.
Benji Kinchelow.
Yes.
Ryan Lisek.
Yes. Okay, moving on to update items, we have item A, which is the Justin Latz property at 7320 West 140th Place. Luke, Tim?
Complete.
Complete. All right. Great. I think that we can take that off of update items for the next meeting.
All right.
Moving on to the Chris Warnoff property at 10708 West 133rd Place.
I think this is one of those, I think we're keeping on the agenda till springtime.
Right.
Yeah, it's been worked on and repaired. There's been no flooding over there, no drainage issues, but I think they want to hold off until spring just to make 100% sure that that's gonna work.
Get a couple more good rains and see what happens.
Okay. Okay, moving on to Sleepy Hollow ditch cleanup.
That was slated for a fall project, but obviously we went right from summer to winter. So it's still on our agenda to try to get in there, but I can't promise you when we'll be able to get in there right now. We want to do it while the weeds are down, and we can get in there. But there's no promise on when. I have a lot of priorities right now.
Okay.
Is there any line item in the budget that would help defray some of the cost of cleaning that we know of?
Not that I'm aware of. I can double check and get back to you.
Okay.
Take a look and see if there's something we can use out of there.
Okay.
Can I show you a couple pictures? This is related to our discussion from the last meeting when you were talking about sediment traps and just filtering the water. So we've completed just recently, this summer, a couple stream bank projects. I just wanted to show a couple pictures. This is actually in Valpo, along Beauty Creek. We did this for the city of Valparaiso. It was a stream bank stabilization project, but it has sort of a sediment control feature to it, and really what you're looking at is we're looking upstream at this point, so water's coming from the top of the screen and it's sort of coming down, and you almost see there's this little rock pool which we call a cross vein. It's basically huge boulders with large size riprap, huge hole in the ground essentially, and you meet the grade of the channel on either side, and so what you end up with is this huge basically bowl, and it dissipates the energy, but it's also a sink for sediment, And so really I'll show you a couple more here just so you get a feel for, just a different angle, but basically this is the elevation of the, if you can see my cursor, the elevation of the existing channel on either side. You're meeting that, but you end up with this bowl in the middle. It's all riprap. Now, you do need a location, you need a location where you park your vac truck or
Just consider
or excavator, whatever you're using to suck this thing out, but in reality, you could, you know, make a more natural design. You know, it doesn't have to be like a concrete box or something. It could be more in tune with the, I get a better picture. This is actually before it got constructed, so you get a feel for how large it is. This guy here is 6 feet tall, so it's about an 8-foot hole, and the boulders are about 2 foot diameter, and that's mixed in with some smaller riprap, but it's still really large. It's probably a foot and a half diameter, and this just essentially just becomes a spot where sediment would collect.
When I look at that though, Luke, I look at it and say, how does a vac, even if it got to it, how do you clean that out without moving those boulders? I mean, that's gonna still cause a lot of, that's a mess.
Well, those boulders are, each one of those is hundreds of pounds.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
how do you clean that then even with a vector?
Yeah, I mean, you would just suck out after a storm event, you know, the creek would run dry, you would be left with this kind of slurry in these holes, and you could suck it out that way. But yeah, in this spot, there really is no location for any of that. I'll show you another spot, another project. This was up in Vernon Hills. It's called Lake Charles Park. So this is kind of a miniature version of Cedar Lake. We have a creek running into Lake Charles Park, and it's called Charles Brown Pond. And basically, they were tired of cleaning out the sediment in the pond, and so what they did was, same concept, just larger. They put in basically a riprap sort of sediment basin here. You can't see it now, but this is essentially that lip. This is that deeper bowl area down here. The city would have a spot to put their equipment to be able to, you know, take their arm and scoop out whatever they needed to that gets collected in this location. So, is it anything that obviously would need to be, the details would need to be worked out for what we're talking about, but I just wanted to introduce this as a potential idea, and obviously the location and the details would have to be right, but you know, this is an option we could look at for what we were talking about during the last meeting. But obviously this goes hand in hand with, you know, it's one thing to collect the sediment, but in reality what we want to do is, you know, stop the sediment from detaching in the first place.
Right.
So obviously there's erosion happening somewhere, so that would be obviously the other part of it.
My thing is always, how do you clean it out once the rain has ceased? And that's gonna be the issue, and if there's still water in there after the rain has ceased, how do you, that's why I thought maybe a tank or a basin of some sort that you can, water flows in, have baffles in it, and then it flows, you know, it goes back out on the top, discharges from there, you have a standpipe either way and let it go.
Yeah, I know a lot of times, the ones that you're talking about, I think we would put them on like the outfalls of the storm sewer system before they get to the waterway.
Right.
Because it's basically a glorified manhole, right? It's
Right, yeah.
a separator of some kind.
Correct.
When you're talking about like the in-stream things, it gets a little bit, you know, the manufactured devices are, you're almost coming up with your own, like doing something like what I'm talking about here if you're.
Because I look what's happening now, and it doesn't look like anything's being done to these ditches. No offense, but nothing that I've seen.
None taken?
Pardon?
None taken?
I mean, the town relies so much on these stormwater ditches to get the water away from these $500,000 homes, but nothing's being done. So something has to be done, whether it's upstream or even closer to the lake, to try to alleviate some of the upstream. I mean, Sleepy Hollow right now is taking a lot of water. When it does flow, it's taking a lot of water, and you're getting even more with the industrial park, the new buildings going on there. More and more is flowing into that.
My honest opinion, Bob, is I think we need to clean the ditch before we worry about putting something like that in. we have to stop that sediment from even getting to that point. That's what we have to do, otherwise we're gonna put this in, and while we're cleaning the ditch, we're gonna be cleaning this out every day or every other day. We have to stop the erosion to getting to that point.
Right. So, at one point, I had recommended a grade-all excavator rather than the Vector. Vector, you're gonna try and suck up stuff with a 6-inch hose.
Right.
I think you can get a lot more performance and a lot better work done with an excavator, a wheeled excavator, that you can get to a site, 5-foot bucket, start cleaning some of that stuff out.
A lot of that problem on Sleepy Hollow ditches is inaccessible from one of the machines that you're talking about. There's no access in there at all. There's no way to get a machine like that in there.
Not even a smaller one?
No, there's,
So,
we have the easement. The problem is, most of it's all blocked off by private property, so I'm gonna have to go through somebody's private property with this machine. And if I do get the machine in there, there is hardly any room at all to maneuver. And now if I'm in there, let's go with Winding Creek 2, for example, we'll use that right away. I get in there with my machine and I'm cleaning out the ditch, where is my spoils truck at? Now I have to bring a truck back there also, and there is just no room for it.
so if we can't clean it, then the tank would be our option before going out to the lake.
Yeah, but that
Because
tank,
we can't clean
to me, that tank's not gonna it's not gonna work. We have to figure out how we're gonna clean out the ditch. That's where we have to focus. We have to clean that ditch before we worry about this sediment tank. I agree with you, we do need that tank, but we need to get that ditch cleaned up prior to spending all that money on a tank. That's my opinion.
I guess we need to work out and find out how we're gonna get that ditch cleaned up then, because you say it can't be done.
We can get most of it, a lot of areas I can get in there, but a lot of the heavier areas I cannot get to. Unless we get homeowners to grant us permission and we get a temporary easement from them, like a construction type easement or some temporary easement to where we can get in there to do that. If we can't get that, I know if you knocked on my door and then asked for permission and I see these big machines coming in my yard, I'm not gonna be a very happy resident.
Sure.
So, I mean, yeah, that's something that needs to be done, so we do need to get together and figure out what's gonna be our best plan of attack to do this.
And moving forward, I'm just gonna make a recommendation that any new development that happens in the town, any new PUDs, whatever you wanna call them, move into the town, and make the developer responsible for cleaning any ditch that water's gonna flow from that development, clean out that ditch portion, wherever it's flowing to, and we'll move on from there. Or give the town money in order for the town to do it, whatever they
Right.
decide. I'm just throwing an idea out there, but
Okay.
it's gotta be done before these homes are built.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, so that way you have access in there, I agree.
Correct, and I would say make the developer pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So keep that on, update items for the cleanup, coming up in the spring. All right, moving on to Muir Street.
I've been out of the loop on this one since it was the building department. Been handling the inspections.
I have no other information on that one, other than what Mr. Kubiak had said at the last time. They all know the guidelines, they know what needs to be done, it has to have inspections done prior to anything being completed.
Okay. All right, moving up to Public Works projects with 2024 project ranking. We have one item that is the Dewey Street lateral at 14616 Dewey Street. Any changes in regards to Mr. Frick? No. Okay. In regards to additional projects with 2024 project ranking, we have the Woodland Shore storm sewer improvements. on the Heinz property, formerly Becker. I think, we're gonna look at some costs of that related to future projects and see what funds were available, in the budget this year. It's most likely gonna be a future project, even if funds are available, so. Anything worth mentioning there?
Is this the Woodlands or Schubert Dodge we're talking about?
I'm talking about the Woodland Shores.
Oh, okay. That one, the one thing we do need to work on is the easement for that one parcel. We do have the agreement for the one that was the Becker property before he sold it, but the other one is still out there. So that's something that we're still working on.
Okay. All right, moving on to the Schubert Dodge Street storm sewer system.
Yeah, this is the one, at the last meeting I showed a couple of different alignments for the storm sewer. We moved forward with a few of those, and, we're gonna tighten up the costs. The one thing we wanted to do, because we've ran into this recently with NIPSCO, where they had to do sort of large-scale relocations of their utilities. They basically told us to give them 1 year notice. So really what we've done is we've advanced the plans far enough to where we know we can give those to NIPSCO and they could start that process. So as long as, you know, the board was okay with it, we would like to get that in motion, knowing that we still have more design and things to do, but just because that's gonna be
Larger
kind of like a critical path item, we'll get going with that and let them do their thing, and in the meantime, we could work out, you know, more of the details, because we're basically at like a preliminary engineering level, but still a lot of work left to do, but we can do that on a parallel path, if that's okay.
It was always discussed that this was gonna be part of a larger project anyways.
No doubt, yeah, ideally, because this would, you know, involve some roadway resurfacing and things, it might be a tandem roadway / stormboard project, depending on how the dollars shake out, but yeah, just knowing what the dollars are gonna be on this one, I feel like there's gonna be more than one source.
Going forward. Okay, moving on to new business. Bob, I believe you had some.
I was gonna bring up the street sweeper. I had Wendy run up some numbers for me, she got the numbers for me, what we spent in repairs for the current sweeper. This is for 1 year. In repairs alone, we had $27,549. I'd like to make a recommendation that we do not use that sweeper anymore. We're just throwing good money after bad. We're gonna have to get on to try and get another street sweeper. We almost had one, I think two of them, yeah, almost. We're just trying to I'm trying to help them out, looking and see if I can find stuff online. I sent it to Tim sent it to Tim, and, like I say, just missed out on one, there's a couple other ones. I just found out from Tim that 70% of the town has curbs, 30% doesn't. So we'll need to get something that's big enough, but I know currently in my subdivision, in that Beacon Point East, we have hardly any trees. You can run through that subdivision in an hour and a half. And, you know, some areas have more trees and you can spend more time. I don't know if we need a monster machine. If you can get one at a decent price, I would say, fine, let's do that. If not, let's get something smaller. I've seen a smaller one that they have in Crown Point that they're doing downtown, running around downtown. My question then would be, I would recommend to the board here to give some funds, but can any other funds be used from the town, from streets, from public works? Everybody pitch in, put something in the kitty for it, because it's not just all stormwater that it would be used for.
Yeah, that's something I would have to have the town council and everybody else get on board with that.
Yeah, like, and then, you know, appropriate some money for it. I mean, I don't know how much we would want to go at this point, that's something we would have to discuss. But looking at some of them that I'm looking at, I would say somewhere in the $40,000 to $45,000 range would be more than sufficient for what we need. And if we can get some of the other departments to pitch in, it just helps everybody along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't think we should run the thing for the whole thing and then pay for the repairs and all that's being used elsewhere. So that's my recommendation. I will stay in touch with you as I'm being retired, I got time for you.
I see you quite often throughout the town, so I'm sure you will.
So that, I'll be staying in touch with you. And
Yes.
I just don't know, you know, which motors are good, you know, the one set of 5.7 Cummins, another one 6.2 Cummins. I have no clue when it comes to that. I'll just send them to you, if you say, yeah, this one's good, this one's bad, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would make a recommendation that we should get on this quick, so we can have this thing hopefully for the springtime. So it gives us a few months to work with at this time. It's not like we're having to do it in the summer and we need a machine.
Right.
So we've got some time, I'd recommend let's do it.
We're just gonna have to go through the town council, the other boards to see how much money they're gonna put in,
Sure.
so. I agree that it needs to be pushed to the front, because like you said, we have 27,000 in that other one that we said isn't even working.
No.
So
We have to put
that's,
a snow on it.
So we could just scrap it at this point. It doesn't make any sense just to, like Bob was saying, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
We need to find out how much other departments are willing to throw at it.
correct. And if we can do that soon, it just gives everybody, I mean, we can find one for 40, I'd say, whatever, let's do that. And the other departments reimburse, I don't know how you guys can do that here, but I don't know how that all works. But if we know that one department's gonna get 5 or 10, this one's gonna get 5, whatever, and we'll go from there. But that's what I had. Other than bringing up the thing that I would have any new development coming in, to have the developers clean up these ditches before they decide to feed into it, clean them up before they start building.
Okay,
And that's all I got.
thank you. Yeah, the only thing I would add to the street sweeper, discussion is making sure that it's approved by the team that's gonna be using it and making sure that they're on board and.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to public comment. And once again, please, oh, that's weird microphone position. Please state your name and your address.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mary Jo Dixon, 8711, 132nd place. It's my 15th anniversary here. I'm so happy. Today's the day.
Congratulations.
So you call the project Sherbert Dodge. Does it not include Marquette and 132nd place?
Let me zoom in.
That was the original problem that continues to be a problem. You went from one end of the manor to the other.
Yeah, so we have a couple different, I have a different exhibit I can pull up right here. There's a few different pieces to this. Kind of what we showed here in yellow is, is what we're calling Schubert and Dodge, but there's more to it than just what's sort of northwest of Lakeshore Drive. What you see in yellow kind of takes care of those problem drainage spots. There's Schubert, Dodge, again, on the other side of Lakeshore Drive, what you're talking about, and the idea is to take that drainage in that location poke a hole out to the lake, through the park here to the northeast. That's sort of related to what you're talking about, which is the Marquette down here, I believe. We know that there are some other drainage issues on that other side of Lakeshore Drive, and you see there's this storm sewer that's shown in blue and another storm sewer shown in pink. These are all, I guess I'll call them legs to the project or phases. There's actually another one down here where the old viaduct was. We know that that's another hot spot. And so, how these all fit together are, all the drainage of these locations. If you pick up drainage from one spot, you do help some of the drainage of the others in most cases. But we do understand that, this Marquette.
It's further, it's down,
Down by this.
132nd. The problem is, I take all the water from 132nd Place. My wellhead has been covered, and I continue to pay to have it extended. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I've called ITEM more than once, and I really don't wanna be that person, but this has been going on for so long. And that water all rushes in between my house and my garage. I'm losing land. The neighbor's mad because all the dirt goes up against her fence. I mean, we're talking 15 years I've been coming here. And it went from a Marquette to a 132nd project. Now we're doing half the neighborhood on the other side of the lake, or on the other side of Lakeshore Drive. And I'm not saying it's not needed. I know the water sits there, I live there, I get it. But we went from a very small project to, because can there be phases or something?
And I think what you're talking about, really, in all of these things, I look at the first phase of each of these pieces as basically a trunk sewer. And so when you're talking about 132nd and
132nd Place, yeah.
Really, I think the first part of it would be to make sure that we can get a trunk sewer that helps all the areas that can possibly connect to it. We can actually construct that, fit it down the road, get it at the right elevation. That's kind of the first domino to fall. Then, obviously, we know that there's your drainage area, there's others that we want to send more water to our trunk sewer. So that would be the next step, is to make sure that we're putting in storm sewers that would connect into that trunk sewer and pick up all of that other drainage that's, all these hot spots are sprinkled throughout this area, as you know. And so this is not the final plan, or that's not the full scope of improvements. We're really kind of early on what we're proposing here, but the idea is, let's understand what size pipes we need, how we're going to do the main alignment, and then we'll focus on picking up, obviously, every hot spot that we can with the new system.
But you understand my frustration. I mean, 15 years ago I came here, yes, we'll take care of 132nd Marquette. Then within 7 years, now we've got half the neighborhood. And I understand you have limited funds, I'm not that person, but it keeps growing, well then the price keeps growing and nothing gets done. So I was just wondering, maybe there's a way to do phases or something to get something done.
So kind of building upon what Luke has been saying, I want to say 2018 was the time that I had the pleasure of meeting you for the first time in one of these meetings. It was brought to the attention. My notes, the notes I have on this computer don't go back as far as that because it's a newer computer anyways, but I have it from 2022 that we were wanting to include in as part of a larger master plan and identifying opportunities to tie it in to the trunk system, like you're saying, Luke, and tie it in, and not just focus on one property or one street, but tie it into a whole group of projects. And at that time, it was a larger master plan of a project, and that was the idea going forward, to scope it as something that big. But I understand what you're saying and do it in phases. And it always just came down to a larger monetary or lack of monetary funds available to approach something like this. So
And to clarify, I think the phasing is just something that happens organically because everything is so expensive. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were gonna have to phase it.
Right.
And how that shakes out, I think we're still trying to wrap our head around, but yeah, we have no intention of ignoring all the little hot spots. We're still trying to better understand how everything's gonna work.
I wanna thank you for your time.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
We're gonna miss you.
Well, I'm glad you came up, because I was gonna ask.
Aaron Seacos, 13660 Muir Street. This pertains to the Muir Street update. What I know of it, what I've kind of talked to Tim Kubiak with, and, so basically they started it finally. They filled in maybe a third of the ditch. They had removed the flared end that was falling down. It had to be reworked. So they removed that, filled part of the ditch. I had talked to the excavator doing the work, and I understand what, he said because the ditch was so deep, he could fill part of it, wanted to get some rains on it, get it all to settle. I understand that. That's kind of where it's left now. The flared end was put back on the end of the pipe because I think they probably saw how much water was coming out of there and wanted to get that back on. And I think the next step after that is to fill the remainder of the ditch in and start cutting in the swale that was going to the main creek. But that's where they're at with it now. There still needs to be tremendous amount of fill brought in to fill the rest of that. I'm sympathetic. All the snow, I mean, it's kind of hard to get back there and do any more work. The last and I don't recall when this was, I had talked to Tim. He had met the excavator out there. He called me afterwards to give me an update. I know they were talking about maybe removing another tree to where the swale was going to go. I think I'd like to see that tree left because it's actually on our part of the drainage easement. I kind of see why, but I don't see why they need to take that one out. I don't know why they would go to that expense to take it out. I think they can just cut the swale in where originally was planned and just be done with it. But that's, as far as I know, updated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything to add from this on our side or anything? I mean, Mr. Kubiak has been the one that's been the one discussing that and been the point person, as you all know. And yeah, fortunately he's not here tonight, but I don't know what else to comment on.
I can talk with Tim, and, typically he'll call us out there on, with these building department reviews. We typically don't get involved unless there's something out of the ordinary from a drainage standpoint. So I had just assumed that everything was sort of straightforward at this point, but if there's concerns about tree removals or how they're cutting in swales, I can talk with Tim and see if it makes sense for us to do a pop in out there and see if there's anything, questionable.
Sounds good. All right. With all that being said, last meeting of the year, next Stormwater Board meeting is going to be on January 13th, 2026. Thank you all very much. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.